So thank you for sitting down with us. And we're here at Chris's. This is one of my favorite breakfast places.
Yeah.
Why'd you pick Chris's?
Well, I've come here for years. I live on Hoffman, and it's just right up the street from us. I've learned to come at the times where it's not crowded and enjoy just the atmosphere. People that I know come here and run into, friends, mothers and people that just live in the neighborhood. It's our Steve loves breakfast too, so that's why we're up here.
Yeah, great. Well, and we want to thank Chris's for having us and for just being such a great neighborhood place. And it's a place that anytime I know I have people come in and I say, you gotta go there for breakfast. So, okay, so we took we took the questions that were submitted, and then we tallied up the things that were asked over and over and the things that were really important, that if you were elected alderperson, that it's going to land on your desk, and we need or it's something that means a lot to constituents, and so we know that because of the amount of times that it was asked.
Okay.
So let's start it. Do you support the return of the elected school board for governance of St. Louis Public Schools? And what specific changes will you advocate for to improve our public schools?
Okay. Yes, I do approve of the new elected board that will be coming in. Back in 2002, 2003, my husband, he worked for the public school board. And in 2003, November of 2003, they privatized the support staff, and he did not have a job there anymore. What was difficult is we had kids in school. All three of our kids went to the public schools, and that was a difficult time for our family. When I think about the disruption that caused, I have deep concerns about how our board was removed, how the private company came in and changed things up. I really think that if we want to have people come to our ward, we have to look at the schools and what the problems may be within individual schools. As far as what to do right off the bat, I have to admit I need to be able to look at the issues, understand what are teachers needing, what do people need. I think that if we don't address our schools, we'll just attract people that really either just are young and don't want to have kids, and then they'll move out if they have kids and go to the county or something. I also think that talking about putting, we're talking about war reduction. We have so many things coming in the city. Now we're talking about Better Together, but the schools are left out. And I have deep concerns about what that means for our public school system. We already are operating with property taxes, and it always is cutting in. Plus we share with charters. So I just think that if we want to look at the future of our ward, we have to look at our educational process and how people look at where they're going to move and how they want to live. We do have a neighborhood school at Mason, which is right down the street here, and that's the magnet for several areas, including outside of the ward. We meet there with the Clifton Heights Neighborhood Association, have for years, and there's positive things coming. There are, and yet individual, perhaps student-teacher situations, parents. I know that there are concerns, but I do appreciate the school being in our neighborhood and having a school to work with that's actually still going. And so as far as what would be on my desk, how are kids doing, how are parents doing with the school, and how are teachers working with principals and downtown at the Board of Education.
Okay. What if any reforms would you advocate for the St. Louis St. Louis Police Department? And do you support waiving the residency requirements for new police recruits?
Okay. We have residency issues. Forcing people to live somewhere, to work there, depends on a variety of things to me. When I think about the police, I would love for them to be residents of the city, personally. But at the same time, I understand that that may not be what is going to work for their family. So I do like to think of them as families that are serving. To me, we are in such flux in our city with what's going on with ward reduction, airport, so many things that are fluid right now. There's something new popping up every day from either the Board of Aldermen as they stand right now. We have to really be able to have conversations, and I use that word, but people need to be able to express themselves in ways that we support the police, yet we're concerned about certain things. I think that the residency requirement is something that, again, it's dealing with people's lives. Where can we find good recruits, people that we can invest in, and then when they get their training, they don't take off and go to some other jurisdiction with their training. So how we can, if that's something that helps retain good police officers and good recruits, that's it's really one of those issues where how are you going to increase your the group of people you can look at? Who wants to be a policeman or a police person? Officer. But you know what I mean. It's just how do we attract good candidates that are good people that want to do public service for the right reasons? And so it's one of those issues that, again, I need to hear more about what people personally think. I know there are a lot of police officers that live in the 24th Ward, and their parents live here too. So I just, I'm not everyone, but I just want to make sure that we're taking care of individuals so we attract good candidates.
Are there, and then the first part of that, are there specific reforms that you would advocate for the St. Louis Metropolitan Police?
Well, of course, the word transparency is used all the time, but are we utilizing body cameras? Did that happen? Do officers wear them? Do we even have the funds for them? Those are things that, the average person. When I think about people in the ward, people assume that their police officers are people to be trusted, and I think that trust has been violated in parts of our city, and it's when we talk about you don't want to think that it's okay for one group to have these services but another group not so sure. But if it's good and just for one, it's going to be good and just for the other people in other areas of the city. It just we have a luxury in the 24th Ward of having we have crime, but we have to put it in perspective. The rest of the city, what do people need in their communities, in their neighborhoods, in their wards, all over the city? And that's where I like I said, I support the police, but I also support thorough investigation of any problems, and for the public to understand what's happening as well. Oops.
All right. So, can you speak a bit to the relationships and history with the other candidates, including reasons and outcomes of lawsuits, and what you'll do to bridge that gap, if elected, to work with both Terry and Tom, and the people for the 20 and for the people in the 24th ward.
Okay. In 2005, I was the president of the Clifton Heights Neighborhood Association, and Tom Bauer at the time was working with a developer and had these 6 townhouse units that were going to go into the spot where the old Presbyterian Church, Clifton Park Presbyterian Church. We were.
You guys doing good okay on the water and that?
Yeah, we're
thank
great.
you.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Taking care of us.
Absolutely. They always do here.
Yes. Anyway, when Tom came into our neighborhood association in January, right around this time, in 2005, he brought a large group of people with him who all paid their dues and were able to vote that night because of the way our bylaws were structured. And when I asked him, he blighted the entire 24th ward so he could do what he wanted to do with blighting things. So I asked him that, and he told me to take it up with the boys in Jeff City. And I said, well, no, in my head I was like, no, we're going to take it up with you. And at that time I started comparing notes with Clayton Tam, president at the time, Ellendale, and also a couple of the business owners who lived across the street from the Presbyterian Church, and we decided that we would start a recall. I worked with the Board of Elections, drew up the paperwork so we wouldn't have any problems with wrong size, wrong questions, wrong whatever. And we began the recall, and that's when we got sued. He sued the 3 association presidents and 2 business owners because he said we libeled him or along those lines. Well, we certainly didn't. He called me a dissident crazy, unhappy with my life on KMOX. He was very, very aggressive on how he dealt with the situation, and we were as aggressive. The neighborhoods pulled together, and we got the signatures. We needed almost 1,700 signatures. We got the signatures. It was put on the ballot, and he was recalled. Since that time, he keeps coming back over and over, beating Bill Waterhouse by like 26 votes or something along those lines. The committee man, committee woman left the position so they could support Scott. Now, this was in 2011 that happened. I only came into the ward because I was in a split neighborhood association. I was in the 23rd ward, and I knew what was coming. I knew we would be in the 24th ward someday because of redistricting and census. So when I couldn't vote in the recall, I couldn't vote for Scott till 2015. But I worked with Scott and with the ward when Tom kept coming back. And each time he does not get back in office. The suits, he dropped the suit against the 3 neighborhood association presidents and went after Randy Munton at 7-Eleven and sued 7-Eleven, and he won in the jury trial, but then it was overturned after appeal. So he did not win anything from doing that. If he would have dropped the lawsuit, he may never have been recalled, but he wouldn't drop the lawsuit. So there's that. With Terry, I'm pausing because I kept this low key because when I found out that she was suing me, I had just dismantled the PAC for the 24th Ward Regular Democratic Committee. The money was in the account untouched for over a year.
What was your position on that?
I was the treasurer,
Okay.
excuse me. I was the treasurer. We had a full board, except one evening, everybody stood up and walked out and never came back at one of the 24th Ward meetings. Steve, my husband, was suggested to Terry he became the committee man, and Terry appointed him because she has had several committee, 3, 4, within the time that I got back involved for Scott's reelection was what we were doing, why I got back into it, and also I could vote in the ward this time. So after she cleared out the entire board, Steve and I were trying to work with her, but she was very. This is difficult because I'm not trying to be caustic or difficult, but we couldn't work with her anymore. She was so rude to young people that we could not handle it. Going to a Young Dems meeting and telling them to be quiet because she was a teacher and she knew, she always knew everything and no one could say anything different to her. So after a while, I just unplugged from her. I mean, she wanted me to transfer the money that was in the account to her new PAC that she had created. And, I know it was in court, the courts were deciding if PAC to PAC was allowable. And in April, I was talking to her about it. I was like, well, maybe, maybe that'll work. And then I thought, this is the Ethics Commission and this is what they say. PAC-to-PAC transfers are illegal under Missouri law. So I decided, I don't think I'm going to do it. And then she started making the news, on Facebook, and had called several people just because they were younger and disagreed. And I heard what she had done. I read some of it, and I thought, there's no way I'm working with this person. My biggest mistake was that I didn't close it down sooner. I was the only person on the account because the deputy treasurer, he left. He was the president at the time, too. All the people that were on the board left, and I was the only one left standing. So I had control over the account, and Terry kept calling it her money, and I offered it I said to Danny, the committee man, would you like to have this and keep it going? And he said, no, I don't want to be involved with any of it. So I closed it down. Little did I know, because I wasn't served the papers that Terry had filed to sue me in small claims court for the money in that account. And when I finally was served, it was after the court date, and I had dissolved the account. The money went to Safe Connections, a domestic violence a domestic violence center in our ward. And also, I just gave them the money, and they happily, so who can we thank? Just thank the 24th Ward Regular Democratic Committee. And that was it. And then I didn't get served again, but I found out that I was to appear in court. I went, and the judge heard what I had to say, and then I gave them all the bank accounts and everything, and he said that he decided for me. So I won that particular, I won. It's hard to say you win when you just are exonerated for something that you didn't do. I didn't do anything wrong. So, Terry and Tom, if I win, would be my constituents. And I am absolutely, I want to work with people in the ward. I don't want this to keep happening to people. And if we have people that are bullying, hurting, suing, how can you trust politicians when they do that kind of stuff? This is not, the ward is not my fiefdom, my world. If I get elected, it's the people that are the world. And I am a liaison, or, bring information back, bring help back that's needed. And also, as far as legislation, I know for a fact that I will be able to work with, they have staff people, you have lawyers to talk to. I asked Scott, how did you get it? He goes, you have people to work with you. You have a secretary, share one. So I know I can do the job. I've as far as I do have a legal mind. I'm a paralegal. I'm also very interested in elder issues, elder law. I did an internship in that. I want to make sure that seniors are getting what they need too. So since Terry and Tom are a little older than I am, of course I care about them. I didn't start the lawsuits. I didn't do anything but question what people were doing and question it in the capacity of being a neighborhood association president. I was out for my neighborhood. I wanted what was happening for my neighborhood, and then neighborhoods getting together and talking. So that's how it happened. But
And you foresee working with them would not be any issue, and
if it's not an issue for them,
Okay.
that's where I am.
Okay. So on that, so it was reported that you donated money the day before you went to court, and the money from the ward, or excuse me, from the organization, the day before you went to court.
Okay.
And so, did you wait to donate it? You had said that the only thing you would have done differently is that you would have done it sooner. You would have taken care of it sooner. So, did you intentionally donate the money the day before you went to court, or
No.
was it, or is that the case?
No. What happened was, I was supposed to be in court on, I think it was the 7th of August. I never got served. I didn't even know I was supposed to be in court. The mail did not deliver in a timely fashion, and I missed the first court date. I didn't even know I was being sued.
Okay, so yeah, that was so it's 6 months after not replying to a certified letter and not showing up for court, and then you donated, and then you went to court. Is that I just want to make sure I have.
What's the certified letter? I don't even know what that is.
That's what was told to us, is that you were supposed to have received a certified letter to say you're supposed to be in court.
Right.
Didn't reply, and so that what I'm hearing is that
it wasn't delivered to
me.
me.
All right.
It wasn't delivered till the day. Right, the timing was very close, but at the same time, I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know that. How could I have known it if I didn't get served?
Okay, then the timing as far as the donation. Did you donate it the day before you went in to see the judge and said?
No, I didn't even know when the next court date was.
Okay,
that hadn't even been set yet.
I think that is what we were trying.
Okay, thank you.
That was the question that I couldn't remember, that I was like,
what
is it? Okay,
right.
So as far as I think we have that cleared up, in the relationship and all of that.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have anything else you want to say on that before I move on to the next one?
No.
Okay. This is a question that was submitted probably, I think, 6 times. 6. What is your stance on abortion? And how will you work to protect those seeking an abortion as alderperson?
Okay. Obviously a subject that is difficult for some people, but for me, I believe that a woman has a right to choose what happens to her body. I think it's an issue of privacy. It's constitutionally protected in our law, in our laws. I think that people who disagree with that have their right to disagree. As far as I was very disappointed to hear that the buffer zone was not enforced. That to me is just it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, people are pulling into a parking lot. They're trying to, and they may just be going for, well, woman care, mammograms, whatever other services are provided at Planned Parenthood. That really was a difficult thing to try to understand. Why are people who disagree with it have more privacy and protection than women who are legally seeking care at Planned Parenthood? And it's private. It's privacy. And I keep saying that over and over again, that women have the right to choose what they do with their body. And I believe completely in making... It's hard enough to make decisions if you're going through a pregnancy that was unintended. I've never personally had that happen, but I have people in my life that it has happened to. And I tell you, when women are facing difficult issues, we need to support women. We need to give them the room to make their own choices and decisions. I know this is not going to sit well with some people in the ward, but there's more people in the ward than just people who disagree with Roe v. Wade, that disagree with a woman's rights over her own body. So I'm representing all of the women in the ward, not just the women that have, feel this way or another way. But I have 3 daughters. I can't even imagine telling my daughters that they don't have the rights over their own bodies. I also have 5 grandchildren, and I certainly didn't tell my daughter that had 5 children what she should be doing. I said, hey, your body, you got the money, you can, take care of your kids and enjoy your life. That's what she always wanted. So I guess that's where it's at. It's the future of our ward is based on freedom and people being able to live full lives. And if that's what it should be, safe and legal.
So what would you do as, if elected, to help protect that?
Okay.
So you mentioned the buffer zone, for example.
Yeah.
And it didn't initially. It didn't go through. So is that something that you would bring back up? Are there other ideas that you would have?
Well, that's definitely something that I would consider bringing up, because there's no reason to not make it safe for people to enter and leave a parking lot where health services are provided.
Okay.
So yes, thanks.
Excellent.
Great idea.
After the Young Dems meeting where all the candidates came and spoke, it was pretty universally, just overall, the feedback was that nobody really answered the race relation question very well.
Okay.
So we wanted to ask, what's your plan to improve race relations in St. Louis? And just some of the answers were considered problematic or didn't really have a solution. It was just, so have you put more thought into this since then?
Yes, I have. And what I keep coming back to over and over again is our city has been around for a long time, 255 years. When I remember listening when John Corbett made the point about all kinds of people, all races, backgrounds, lived in Dogtown. And when they were able to get, and the Catholic Church was the big, caregiver of people that were immigrating, were moving up from the South, whatever was happening. And once people had their communities, they started going north. People moved all over the place out of Dogtown. And I think that I'm focusing on Dogtown because I don't know what was going on history-wise where I live right now. Clifton Heights, how many houses were here? This was like fields and stuff. So now that I look at it, I realize this city has so much potential and so many wonderful things going on. Why aren't we sharing it with everyone? Why is it just where I live, things are going pretty good, but in other parts of St. Louis, they are not. And people are suffering because of it. And as I said, I can never be in any other skin than I'm in. This is who I am. This is how I was born.
White meat suit.
White meat suit.
Which was well received from my perspective.
But I just wanted to make that clear, that it's like nothing more special about this skin than anyone else. And we have such a hard time as, I'll just be blunt, as white people, understanding that it's not the responsibility of African Americans to teach us how to love and care and put them in the same place as they put themselves. Why can't we reach out in ways that are honest, that are, responsible, that care about people, have compassion? Where's the compassion? Why is my kid more special because I'm on the south side, but mom's up on the north side? I can hardly speak. It's so upsetting, yet I am in a position of learning. I want to be a better ally and understand things. I make mistakes. I've grown up in a really white part of St. Louis. I've learned through my younger daughter and my daughters, they went to public school. They had friends from every background, and they would come to our home, and the friends felt comfortable in our home. And, that's something that, if I don't know how to use the words exactly. I don't want to act like that people are the other. I'm the other too. We're all in this as a city. And if we don't start taking care of all of the city, how can we progress? We have so many large things coming up. The schools aren't included in looking at, the merger of city and county. There's so many things. Who loses on that? Who ends up bearing the brunt of, not having basic services in their neighborhood, not being profiled, not being, I just think that we really need to wake up and be kind to each other, try to understand things from another perspective. I know I can't get into anybody else's shoes, but what can I do as an older woman to help, to make a difference in a way that is helpful, not just like a regular white answer. I want to care about people of all races in our city and make sure the opportunities are the same for everyone. And, what can I do? Be open to learning and listening, not assume that I have all the answers, but also not assuming that I have no answers. I'd like to be a bridge in the way that people need to respect each other. I don't care who they are. I don't care where they live. We need to get together on this. And it is our future. You know, all the kids in our city deserve a good education. All of the kids deserve safe space, deserve to be safe when they go outside and play. If I think kids still do that, you know, I mean, there's a lot of on-screen stuff, but you know, encourage more community building. You know, what can we do to help without being smug or aren't we better or aren't we something for helping? That's where I'm at.
Okay. So, do you believe that our ward, believe it's becoming gentrified? And does gentrification affect the character, safety, financial benefits, and losses of local businesses? And how do you feel the ward is as far as gentrification, and what are the impacts? I guess is a more broad question. Okay.
I think our ward has some rich, fabulous history. The neighborhoods each have their own history, what they've worked with and with different people. That Clifton Heights, they've had an Easter egg hunt for over 100 years. I mean, that's amazing, and we still do it. You know, and also Clayton Tam does an Easter egg hunt, I found out too. But I think that I know this for a fact. If I wouldn't have been able to, when my mother passed away in 2000, if I would not have been able to purchase or to, purchase the house from my siblings, I could have never moved back to this neighborhood. I wouldn't have been able to. Now, so, you know, I'm glad that for 18 years I've lived on the street I grew up on, well, going into the 19th year. We moved there when I was 3, like I said, and they sold the house. The people, they lived 2 houses away, they sold it to my parents. Just took them into the bank and they sold it to them. I just know that when I keep hearing $300,000 residences being built, so you're appealing to a certain group of people. And I know that this has been I use the term working class neighborhoods. You know, there's been mining and, you know, Dogtown's on top of a bunch of, well, we all are, cave systems and all kinds of stuff. So we've had working class people with working class jobs in the city in a convenient place. And that's the other thing. Our ward we're situated in a convenient place for anywhere in the city. So I hope that people will be able to understand that we need affordable housing too. And that doesn't mean bad people move in when you use the word affordable. It means working people. It means, in Dogtown where all the restaurants are and bars and everything, that's a spot to go to for a lot of people, obviously. I hope that the small businesses understand that the history that comes with this is also important for people, that we can't just, we've got a hodgepodge of homes that were built in places when there were really just people just started putting up homes 40, 50, 60 years ago. I live in a house that's almost, in 2020, it'll be like 100 years old. And, we need to be able to safeguard the personality that seems to be, hey, here's somewhere where we can start the process of gentrification. It happens everywhere. It happens all over the United States. New York is a shell of itself in many ways because of what's happening in all the neighborhoods. So I just think that we have to think about all of the people and attract people that want to move here, but do they, just people from Clayton, just, who are we just trying to attract? And if we don't have the school systems to match a $300,000 home, a public school, alternative to charters or private schools, or, we have to come up with things that give people a chance to settle and be somewhere and get to know why we still live here, why some of us, older, juniors, seniors are still here, because it's a great place to live and we don't want to be priced out.
So, continuing on that a bit is, as far as the business districts in the ward, what do you have thoughts and plans on increasing development in the business districts, and do you think that would be beneficial to maintaining the appeal of the 24th ward?
Well, when you think about development, it's like, okay, lots of restaurants, lots of bars. I mean, I go right up to Dogtown immediately, because where I live, we have very little business, but we have it. Adams Rib, across the street, the tavern at Clifton Park, Clifton Heights, I can't remember the name of it, just changed names. Our little 7-Eleven, that's part of our business right here. We have some private...
right here at Chris's?
Right here at Chris's, of course, thank you. That's just it, is our ward has so many diverse places. So I was thrilled to come in the ward and come here to Chris's to just do something that's positive, a little advertising, for the business. If business owners can't, I want business owners also to respect the people that live near them. We are neighborhoods, and you want to make sure that people are enjoying themselves, but you want to make sure that people that live there have the same enjoyment by just being in their home. The bringing in more business. We have the Deaconess Hospital, the site, the zoo site. Wonder what's going to be going on there. Just housing, that seems to be, the plan is out there, but that's something to be talked about as well. What a great spot to perhaps put a library on, just right there, walkable in the neighborhood. We need things that people can get to, easily. Parking. We have such a difficult situation with parking. There are people that know a lot about how to plan. How can we make the parking easier? Can we do angles? Can we have permits? Whatever. But we need to look into how to bring people into the ward, but how to people a place to park near their home. But also, if you live there, you kind of know that you live in a place that has a big St. Patrick's Day parade. You live in a place that's drawing people in to have fun and to drink and to enjoy themselves. But it's also where people live. So as far as the different types of development, it's expensive to open a business. It's expensive to do things. When people come into the neighborhood, I don't want to see them fail. I want to see it grow and thrive if they're willing to, step up and be part of our neighborhood and our ward. I think too that we have to think about things that will help people in the ward. I'm glad the grocery store is going in. That's very needed. I mean, when you look at how people, you need to just be able to get some groceries and not just what's at the Quick Trip or the 7-Eleven or any of the fast places. You know what I mean. So I just would like to see businesses that think about the residents as well as the outside people that aren't in the ward coming in.
Okay. My phone keeps.
Well, yeah, and I'm talking.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! And I'm glad that it went back because I accidentally.
Whoops.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Okay, so so this is, I believe, our last question. So I want to thank you.
Thank you.
And you can obviously take as much time as you need, but we were asked quite a bit about this. If you are elected and are able to accomplish your goals while in office, how will our ward and the city be different in 10 years? So this isn't assuming that you necessarily want to hold office for 10 years, that you'll be in 10 years, but what are some impacts over the next decade that if you are elected, that would be specific examples of how you would hope the city would be impacted by your work in our ward?
Okay. All right. When I think about St. Louis, I think about the variety of stories that are here, the different immigrants that have come here, that have made their home here, and I think of myself as one of them. Moving from Rhode Island to Missouri, I guarantee you, I spoke with an accent. I had, my parents with accents, and kids were like, "What? How come? How do you talk like that?" And it wasn't like they made fun, but I know I was different, even though, we were all white kids at Epiphany grade school, But I'll tell you that when you think about our future should mirror a lot of what we've been through. People of all nationalities and backgrounds have come to St. Louis to make their home. We have large corporations here. We have unique food. We have a variety of great things. But we also have a lot of difficult problems. And those problems are not going to be solved by just pushing it down the road. We need to be able to look at our north side as thriving, as people enjoying themselves, that people all over our city are happy that they're here and people want to work here and live here. How do I see myself doing that? By being exactly the kind of person that I am, by being someone that wants to not just listen, but share ideas, talk about things. What could be? What do working parents need? I really am appreciative that I haven't talked to them yet, but we seem to be getting a senior daycare center where the Safe Connections was. They've moved, they sold the building. I'm thrilled to see some options for those that in 10 years, they may be in their 30s and 40s, but you may be 50 years old with parents that may end up with Alzheimer's, or they can't stay alone, or things that are coming. We need to address the future of how to age in your neighborhood, not necessarily in place, but can we be creative with housing ideas for seniors, with care for seniors, bringing a group of people together that maybe works in conjunction with me and delivering the kind of help and services, and bring that to people, whether they're working moms, whether they're moms going, what am I going to do about mom? Sometimes seniors get better from injuries, but nobody gets out of here alive, and we're all aging as we're here. And in 10 years, will it be just only young people? Never. We need intergenerational, multi-generational ideas, because I know the first wave of the baby boomers, I'm not part of that. I'm part of the second wave, and there's more of us. in that wave. And I, as you know, as I look to younger people, I'm like, you're going to be the people that when I'm 80, you're going to be 60 or 50 or whatever. Will I still be part of this community? And will I be welcome? So I know I'm touching on older issues, but like I said, we need to be able to take care in our own neighborhoods and communities, no matter what the wards end up looking like. If that's, what are these issues that we can make a difference on? And I really have hope for our future in St. Louis. I want to be someone that helps people have hope, but also have enjoyment and fun. And it's a great place to live. I hope that we, as a city, can go through these next few years of, a variety of issues on our plate, from outside interests, the state voting on things, what are we going to be looking like because other people tell us what we're going to be looking like. I'd like the city to be able to keep its identity no matter what happens, and that privatization doesn't just gobble up all the jobs that people used to hold with dignity and be able to enjoy their lives in the city. So that's my vision. More young people, but young people that want to they want to be part of the neighborhood. They want to be, how do we engage people? I see people that, one other thing, I see people that vote. I want people to vote. How do we get people involved in the process, and to have the opportunity to still have the vote and not be taken out by the next big money person that wants to change things. So that's it. I want this place to thrive and grow. This is I'm a St. Louis, and I was real Rhode Island for years. I'm from Rhode Island. Well, now I'm from St. Louis, and I really appreciate the opportunity to work with younger people. I'm learning, but I also have a few things to share, and that's it.
Excellent. Well, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. We really appreciate it.